I've been investing in crypto for the last 8 years, and here's the exact strategies that I'm using to make sure that I absolutely dominate during this crypto bull run. If you guys haven't been following along from the beginning, last cycle I went from unemployment to over $1 million at the top of the cycle. Now, I managed to hold on to most of that, selling near the top and then buying back in at near the exact bottom of the market. Now, I've been working my butt off all bear market long, and I'm starting this bull run, this cycle, with more capital by and far than I had at the absolute peak of last cycle. And I'm gonna be going through all the different strategies that I'm using this bull run to make sure that I win and successfully exit the market much higher than what I'm at today. My ultimate goal is to exit this cycle at over $100 million in net worth, which I know is absolutely insane. That's like a long shot goal even for me. The last cycle, people told me I was insane to try to go from unemployment to $1 million. I proved them wrong. I accomplished what a lot of people told me was impossible. And since then, I've put in the work. I've never quit all bear market long. I have leveled up substantially from even where I was, just a couple of years ago. And now I'm ready to see what's possible during a bull market environment when I'm fully leveled up and maximizing my chances to win big. I'll also be sharing exactly when I expect this bull market to end a little bit later in the video, as well as some of my top conviction plays for this cycle that I'm allocating into pretty heavily in anticipation for what I see as a coming alt season starting in late December, early January, or depending on how you define it, starting in February. February is where the action is going to really start. But you're going to see some of that action starting, in my opinion, in late December, early January. I, of course, could be a little bit off on these things, and it might not be exactly as expected. But in general, the gist is, the expectation is, in Q1 2025, we're about to go into an epic alt season. And these are some of the high conviction bets that I'm making going into that alt season. Keep in mind, this is just my personal thoughts about how I'm planning to play this bull cycle, about certain projects that I already own, that I have high conviction in, that I'm personally buying into for this cycle. My channel is a lot more like a giant Pinterest board of my thoughts, my ideas, what I'm thinking, for you to look at and use as like a tool for coming to your own conclusions. It is not any form of investment advice. This is not me telling you to buy anything. You should always do your own research, come to your own conclusions. That is how you ultimately win. Okay, my first piece of advice, or just a lesson that I've learned over the past 8 years that I think is a huge mistake most people make, and for most people is probably the number one biggest mistake that they're making right now, is that most people tend to put way too much emphasis on what's popular today and assume that that will be just as popular in the future. I talked about this in my recent video, my 2025 bull market beginner's guide. A lot of people tend to follow the trend. They tend to follow what's popular and put way too much emphasis on that. And nobody actually does what they're supposed to do, which is to front run the opportunity. You want to be positioned in something before opportunity strikes, not after opportunity strikes. I always get comments in my videos talking about like gaming isn't popular right now. It's never going to be popular. DeSci isn't a narrative. It's never going to be a narrative. The number one comments I got back in late 2022 at like literally the pico bottom of the market, the perfect time to have gotten back into crypto. Some of the comments I got were, crypto is dead, man. It's all a scam. It's all going to zero. Didn't you hear about FTX? It's over. Bitcoin's going sub 10K. Everyone's talking about it. You're an idiot for throwing your money into this. That was like the normal comments that you were seeing under my videos. That was like the normal things that people were talking about then. That was what was popular back then. If you were going to listen to what was popular back then, they were telling you, do not buy crypto. Sell everything you have. This thing's going way lower, when in fact, it was the exact bottom of the market in the absolute best time to buy. If you follow what's popular, if you follow the herd, you will absolutely get wrecked investing. Instead, you have to look ahead and look at what potentially will be the situation in the future, or what tokens will be popular in the future. And that's obviously easier said than done, but you definitely don't win looking at simply what's popular today and assuming that's going to be popular for forever and have this infinite growth curve. Usually, if it's a really popular thing, a lot of the price action gets priced in pretty quickly and too late for you to be able to jump in and make a fortune. There are crypto projects today that are going to just skyrocket over the next few months, over 2025, and going to be just these absolute gargantuan projects tomorrow that today are just sitting in deep, deep value. They're super, super cheap. And if you're able to identify those ahead of time before they're popular, that is how you make a fortune, not waiting until after they're popular. This should be really common sense. But yes, most people do not get this because it's like against human nature to like separate from the herd and like go, take some risk and front run the opportunity. If you want to 100x your bag, your fortune, you have to take some risk. You have to be willing to go out there and face your fears and take some risk. The best opportunities today don't seem like opportunities. They're over in the shadows, right? There's no spotlight on them. Nobody's paying attention to them. That is where the best opportunities are sitting today. If you get only one thing from this video today, it's just make sure you stop following the herd and start thinking for yourself and try to front run the opportunity. Average people don't make millions investing. It's only the outliers that do. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean you can just go set up shop anywhere that's not being paid attention to and expect to make a fortune. That is not how this works. 99% of the tokens out there are just absolute garbage. They're not going to go anywhere. However, 1% of the tokens out there are absolute gems that will print fortunes. You got to put in the work to rule out all the bad tokens and get really good at finding that 1% that are gems. The better you are at filtering, the more likely you are to succeed ultimately. Okay, so alt season, I really expect to kick into high gear around February, but I expect the first rumblings of alt season to start late December, early January. You could even argue that today we're seeing the first rumblings of alt season as you're seeing people position early in things like XRP, ADA, EOS, a lot of these 2017 legacy tokens. That is a form of alt season because you're seeing alts start to pop off and you're seeing more people positioning within the alt markets. But I consider this like the preseason, right? People are positioning, they're taking up positions and getting ready. But the true alt season, or like when it kicks into overdrive, is typically around February. But like there's like another step up late December, early January. And you'll see people on Twitter and stuff like showing these charts, being like, oh, we've the alt season indicators hitting, or we're in alt season, and that just kind of like it just depends on how you define alt seasons. And this is kind of some stuff I'm talking about right now. Depending on how you define an alt season, you could say we're in alt season now. Depending on how you define a bull season, you could say we've been in a bull season, all bear market. It just depends on how you label these things. But what I'm talking about is when like things go bananas. People are losing their minds. Alts are just doing these things that are just blowing your mind. That's like what I consider alt season, and maybe other people would just consider it peak alt season. But that starts, in my opinion, around February. And kind of centered around this is, and I keep talking about this in tons of videos because I'm trying to drill it into your guys' heads. Kind of centered around this, I expect ETH and, or just ETH. I don't know why I was going to say and. Kind of centered around this, I expect ETH to really start performing late December, early January, like really take over leadership of the market. Like Bitcoin passes the baton to ETH around that time. I could be wrong about this. And this could happen later, or something could happen with that because maybe the ETF flows or the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve kind of throws a kink in that hose. But typically, you're looking at the typical patterns. You should expect late December, early January. The baton passes off to ETH. ETH kind of takes over leadership of the market in a way like it's not going to be doing the best in the whole market. Like smaller tokens are going to be doing higher multiples. But like in terms of like dictating the direction like of the market, ETH kind of takes the mantle. And that's really good for alts because everyone has like ETH. All these treasuries have ETH. It's paired with a ton of assets. Like it just really starts pumping up the alts. And so I expect that to see late December, early January. That's when that kind of takes the mantle. Alt season in February. I also expect a dip in January. Again, I literally have talked about this every single video because I want to drill it into your guys' heads because it's going to freak people out, right? It's going to freak people out because you're going to see this insane dip, this like just jaw-dropping dip. Nothing like what you're seeing right now. We're like having like 2% dips. It's not really hurting. Like one day we had like, it went from 100K to like 92K. That was like the worst dip. I'm talking about something that just like scares the pants out of you, right? Like off of you, whatever the term is. Bitcoin 120K all the way down to 70K kind of thing. Like just huge flush out, massive, okay? People will be freaking out. You'll like wake up and you'll be shaking. It'll be like the most stressful day of your life, okay? Typically very short-lived. This dip gets eaten up like crazy. As soon as people figure out, okay, we're at the bottom, everyone FOMOs on the sidelines, runs it back up. And this is kind of like the kickoff of alt season, okay? So don't let that freak you out. If that happens every single cycle. It would be weird to expect it to not happen this cycle. Now, I have a ton more to get into, including some of my top conviction plays for this cycle, as well as when I expect this cycle to end. And I'm going to get into that in just a second, but really quick. The Obsidian Council is my private research community where I share monthly research, my entire portfolio, buy and sell alerts whenever I buy into a project, and more. We've had projects go up 1,100%, 1,200%. 1,500%, and some much more. I spend a lot of money to access a variety of newsletters, private groups, and more so I can get the best alpha in the market. And I share that alpha with the members of the Obsidian Council. Currently, the Obsidian Council is sold out and closed to new members. But if you want to join next time it opens up, make sure to join the waitlist in the description of this video. Now, during all this, you need to be patient and let the gains come to you. You don't want to overtrade, and you need to understand that things can go much higher than you expect them to. And almost every cycle, they do go much higher than you expect them to. And that's because of watermarking. Talked about watermarking before. It's basically the concept that like when Bitcoin's sitting at $100 billion, like nobody's really expecting anything to go even, over $100 billion. Now Bitcoin's sitting over $2 trillion. Things can go a lot higher, like maybe ETH goes over a trillion this cycle. Maybe it goes even higher. Maybe Bitcoin goes to 4 trillion, ETH's at 2 trillion or something crazy. Last cycle was very rare to see an asset hit 100 billion. That was like reserved for like the prime of the prime of the prime. Pretty much nothing did it. We had BNB do it, ETH did it, Bitcoin did it. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Maybe there was something else, but it was reserved, right? That's like a special mark of like specialness. Well, this cycle, I expect more assets to hit over 100 billion, and it's going to blow people's minds. You're going to have like AI tokens hitting over 100 billion. Maybe we have a meme coin for the first time hit over 100 billion. Maybe Doge does it or something. Assets will go higher than you expect that they would go, and you have to be prepared for that. It's going to catch a lot of people off guard. You're going to be holding an asset, and you're going to be thinking, okay, maybe this thing goes to 500 million, and it's like it goes to $1 billion, and you're like, oh my gosh, this thing's way overvalued. You sell, you think you're a genius, and then it goes from $1 billion to 100 billion, and you're like losing your minds. You're like crying at night. You're like, what did I do? I could have had millions of dollars. Like it sucks missing, like it sucks holding something down to the bottom and like losing money. Like, right, you invest in something, you lose money, but it also equally sucks to like have missed an opportunity, especially in a bull market. You put money in and you miss that 100x gain, that 1000x gain, that 50x gain. Like that is painful. And it causes you to be like irrational and do stupid stuff where you'll take your, you'll do that. And then it's like sitting 100 billion. You're like, I got to make this back. And you like go trade stupid stuff and it doesn't work out for you. And then you lose everything. Okay. So you got to like mentally be prepared. Like things could go much higher than you expect. Now, hey, there's nothing wrong when something triples. Take your initial off the table. Put that in your bank or something, right? Like go just keep it stable. So like keep that safe and don't touch it, right? And then you can't lose. Take your initial off table. So you put in $1,000 into investment, turns into 3,000, take 1,000 out, put it back in your bank. Now you can't lose. That thing goes to zero. You don't lose any money. There's like strategies like that can keep you safe and keep you protected throughout the bull market. And you should probably, not investment advice, we should probably be doing things like that to protect your wealth, especially if you're newer to trading. That's something that protected me. Last cycle, like I made so much money because I just did that simple thing of like when it doubled or tripled, depending on how fast it did it. I just took my initial out, put it over on the side. And I had some things that kept going up and I made a fortune. I had other things that went like lower, they never go to zero. It's not like meme coins. Like most of these things never go to zero. But like, I was down like 30% and I'm like, oh, sell those things. But I still made a profit because I took my initial out. But yeah, so people they don't expect things to go as high as they do going. People end up over trading. They're like trying to time the market. They think they're a genius. They're like, oh my gosh, dip in January. I'm going to sell before the dip. I want to buy it back after. They always mess it up, get screwed over. They like get left out of the market or something really bad happens. Do not overtrade. Like just be comfortable, like putting some money in and sitting there and let that thing ride. Okay. Try to overtrade it. You're going to get wrecked. So this isn't meme coins. Okay. If you're doing meme coins, trade a bunch, right? Those things have like a day lifestyle cycle. Alts are not like that. Some of these alts that have been dead for like since 2017 are still popping off for no reason. It makes zero sense, okay? But they don't go to zero like memes. They like somehow survive and just kind of like live on as these zombie tokens for forever. Not all of them, but like in general, most of them do not end up going to zero and they end up like just kind of existing for a long time, okay? So just be comfortable, be a little bit more comfortable riding these things out. Do not overtrade yourself. And if some of you guys are maybe a little bit more intellectual, you're a little bit more smarter, maybe you're a little bit too smart for your own good. You got to put like your stupid goggles on, okay? Because we're about to go into a melt up. We're going into frothy season. You're right. This real world asset project or this crypto AI project that's like pretty much vaporware should not be worth $150 billion. But that doesn't mean it's going to stop it from going to $150 billion. Like these meme coins also shouldn't be worth this stupid amount of money, but they still do it. Okay. So like, that's not to say that like everything stupid is going to go up. But the point is embrace a little bit of froth, embrace a little bit of stupidity in the market and understand that like, a lot of these things are going to be overvalued. They're not worth what they're doing. Like it's just not, by no metric are they worth what they're at. But that's what happens in a frothy, melt up bull market. Things go way higher than you expect or than they should go because we're here to invest and make money. And we like that. Like, yeah, sure. Get the market frothy. Everything goes up. Just have a sane head. Don't lose your mind. Stop. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Okay. Don't believe like, oh my gosh, this thing's worth $200 billion. This like dumb project that no one's ever used and no one ever will use is worth $200 billion. Don't believe it. Okay. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Make the money, sell it, and then move on. There are great projects in crypto that are changing the world, that are really awesome things that I genuinely believe in. But like 99% of this stuff is vaporware. That's because it's permissionless, right? Anyone can deploy a token, build a project. It's not really that different from like VC investment deals. VC startups, most of them fail too. Most of them are also vaporware that never end up working out. That is like startup culture. That is how it works. Like most fail. The one that succeeds makes a ridiculous amount of money. Okay. So don't drink the Kool-Aid. Be smart with your investments. Understand like, yeah, it melts up. But if you're the one like sober person on the sidelines, you're going to make a fortune as this happens. Keep in mind also, there's going to be a shift in people's mindset. All bear market long, people were afraid of losing. Every decision was, if I put $1,000 in, what are my chances of losing that $1,000? I want to try to make money, but I don't want to lose it. Okay. People are afraid of losing all bear market long. When we hit this new season, this bull season, people are no longer afraid of losing because in general, most things are going up. Like it's not really like scary, like, oh, I'm going to lose this money. Like most things are going up. They're making money. They're happy. It's more about, I want to make sure I win as big as my neighbor is winning. Okay. Cause like, you're going to be making a 3X. I've talked about this before. You might make a 3X and be like, oh, I tripled my money. But little Timmy over here, little Timmy sitting on your neighbor who's like, not as smart as you in your opinion. Little Timmy went and turned his $1,000. He like did 100X and now he's got $100,000. Maybe he did 1,000X. He's a millionaire. Your neighbor is now a millionaire and he's laughing at you because you worked your butt off all bear market long. And little Timmy picked some stupid project that, really dumb and made $1 million. Okay. So people, their mindset switches. They're like, it's more of a greed mindset. They're like, oh my gosh, what like opportunity costs. If I put my $1,000 here, I can put it over there. And I don't know which one's going to do 1,000X and it's freaking me out. That's how people think. It's like a whole different mindset. Okay. That's just horse season. I've talked about this in a lot of videos too. Okay. So people's mindset changes and you're looking ahead and saying, hey, okay, people are going to be really greedy. What are they going to look at? What are they going to buy? What narratives they're going to latch onto because it might be a thing. That's how people are going to act. This might be big in the future. So I'm going to put my money in right now. Is how people kind of start becoming during this bull season. With all this, keep in mind, you're not going to be able to trade everything. Okay. You only have a limited amount of capital. You only have a limited amount of time. There's going to be all kinds of narratives and niches. There's going to be like Bitcoin tokens, Solana tokens, base tokens. You can't do them all. You just it's not physically possible. You have to pick some you really like and focus on them. Do not spread yourself out. You'll be like a master of none. And you're just going to get wrecked. You're going to pick like stupid tokens on all these things and get wrecked. Pick some things, be comfortable. You're going to miss so many opportunities. You're going to miss so many just amazing tokens that could have made you a fortune. You got to be okay with that. You cannot hit them all. No one will. No one can. That's okay. Okay. Don't FOMO. Don't lose your mind. Pick some ones that you're like, okay, I like these ones. I like these ones look good. I'm not going to hit all. I'm not going to hit them all. I'm okay with that. But I really know these projects. I really have a deep conviction. I'm not going to go on YouTube and like watch every YouTuber and be like, oh, this one says this token. This one says this. You're not going to put all your money in all those things. You're going to position size well. You're going to pick some things you're going to really pay attention to. That's what you're going to do. You're going to accept the results. Okay. Timmy's going to be over here making a ton of money. You're not going to FOMO into Timmy's little real estate cult thing he's in, right? Okay. Maybe he's like doing like real estate crypto tokens, or I don't know what narratives are going to be big. Real estate AI, crypto gaming tokens that Timmy's playing in, making $1 million. You're not going to switch from your foolproof plan that you put research in. You're like, I really believe in these tokens just because one day Timmy's like up 1,000X on this token. Because the next day, maybe you take your capital, you sell it and you're like, okay, I'm putting it in this stuff. The next day, Timmy's down. It goes to zero. Now you just moved your capital. Oh, guess what? This is actually how it happens in a bull run. You'll do that. You'll sell your tokens over in here and you'll be like, oh yeah, these projects, they're not going anywhere. You'll sell them. You'll go put it in what's hot over here with Timmy's real estate crypto AI tokens. And then that'll crash. And then the tokens you just sold will skyrocket. And you're like, oh, and it drives you crazy. Okay. It's like the moment there's a story I read that was really great. It was like these guys, I don't know the full story, so I'm going to butcher this, but like they bought this plot of land. They were like digging and digging and digging for like a month. Okay. They're just like drilling. They're trying to get gold, like gold mining, like digging for like a month. And, after a month of digging, they get nothing. They get literally nothing, and they give up. They say, you know what? There's no gold. We're told there's gold here. This is a dud. This is no gold. And so they end up selling. I think this is a true story, by the way. They end up selling it to this like father and son who are like, buy it for like pennies on the dollar. And these guys are like, okay, yeah, maybe we'll strike gold. And these guys think they swindled them. They're like, oh, it's those suckers. They just bought our land. Well, the father and son start digging, and after 3 feet of digging in the same spot that the other people were digging, they struck like the biggest vein of gold ever, like millions and millions of dollars worth of gold. 3 feet away. And that's kind of how it is in crypto, right? Like you'll be waiting it out, and just at the last moment, right before success is about to happen, you're 3 feet away, you switch it up, and then it skyrockets. Ask anyone, it happens to everyone. You got to have some conviction. You got to hold the ground, got to hold the line. Okay, now I'm going to go through some of my top conviction plays for this cycle. Again, remember, none of this is investment advice. None of this is me telling you to buy these things. You got to have your own conviction. Right now, I'm little Timmy, okay? I'm little Timmy. I'm telling you about my cool stuff. You might not be into it. You might be into it. It might be a good thing for you. It might not be a good thing for you. Build your own conviction, because if you don't have your own conviction, that is how you will lose, because, like I said, you'll sell 3 feet before, it ends up skyrocketing. So do your own research. None of this is investment advice. I own everything I'm about to talk about. I am shilling you my bags, my things I hold, because people comment all the time. They're like, oh, you're just shilling your bags. Like, yes, that makes sense. Like, why would I talk about tokens and be like, I believe deeply these are going to 100x and not own them? That is like the craziest thing I've ever like the only people who do that are like paid to talk about tokens. And I don't do any sponsored deals or anything like that. I don't do any sponsored, no paid, no any like little side things. I like invest in things I believe in. I talk about the things that I invested in that I believe in. And if I'm wrong, I lose a ton of money. Okay. I lose a ton of money. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you about things that I own. Always assume if I'm talking about a project and it has a token and I'm like, I'm really bullish about this thing, that I'm not an idiot and I own the thing that I'm bullish about, because otherwise I would have no integrity. And I'd be talking about things I don't actually care about, which is not how I am. My top conviction plays in the moment are 1, RSC. And this isn't in any particular order, okay? So it's not like this is my number one conviction play. This is like a random order. Up first, RSC, Research Coin. I've talked about this one a ton. I have full videos on this if you want to go in depth. Brian Armstrong is the co-founder. He's co-founder of Coinbase, co-founder of Research Hub, Research Coin. I've been trying to get people in this since forever, okay? It has recently run up a ton. It's sitting at, last I checked, around $1. It's doing really well, but I think it has tons more room to grow. I think it could still, this is my personal opinion. It's not a prediction. I am not a wizard. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. But my personal opinion, I think it's still 100x from here. I think you do even more than that, okay? Again, I think things are going further and farther this cycle than people believe. So I think it has a ton of potential still. I'm still really bullish on it. Still a top conviction play. Winner is another one of my highest conviction plays. I just did a video on Winner where I talked about why I'm like so bullish on this token. It hurts. This one is absolutely tiny today, sitting at $20 million market cap. Like you could fit it into the market cap of XRP like 6,800 times. This thing is tiny today. This is another one that I've been doing some staking on. I made a $7,000 staking this thing in my first month. Keep in mind, I have a massive bag of Winner. That's why I made so much, but I think that the staking rewards are going to grow. I outlined this all in the video I just made on Winner if you want to check it out. AKT or Akash is another project that I've been bullish on for forever. I've already done a 20x over the bear market on this one, so keep that in mind. I'm still insane bullish on it. For one, you can stake it and earn about 17% annually. It's the validator rewards for staking and securing the chain. So that's pretty cool. But this one's sitting in the crypto AI sector and kind of like the deep end sector. Some people call it like the NVIDIA of crypto. Some people will call it like the AWS of crypto. It kind of depends on how you want to tap into that. But I'm really bullish. It's sitting at around $1 billion in market cap. I think one crypto AI token, if not multiple, will hit over $100 billion this cycle. I think Akash has a chance. Go follow it. Go look at some posts by these people. There's like a mini cult around Akash, and that's what you want, right? Like XRP has this little cult around it. Cardano has a little cult around it. Like that's how tokens really just send. Okay. And so look at Akash, look at what they're doing. I'm really bullish on it. And if you get it, make sure you're staking it so you can get that extra 17%. SFG or Soulforge Fusion is on Solana. It's a crypto card game similar to Gods Unchained, similar to Echelon Prime, but it's from the creator of Magic the Gathering. So the same guy that made Magic the Gathering made this game. Currently, it's extremely tiny today. And I believe it's still extremely undervalued. It's sitting at like 7 million in market cap. When I first started talking about it, it was like 2 or 3. When I first shared it in the Obsidian Council, it was sitting at 1 million in market cap. But I still think it's extremely tiny. Echelon Prime went to almost $1 billion in market cap, okay? Gods Unchained went to like 120 or 100 and something million in market cap. But I think this thing still has a ton of room to grow, and I'm extremely bullish on it. Index is a similarly smaller crypto project that launches on-chain indexes. And this one's really great because you can actually just buy it on Coinbase. It's like a small crypto token project. You can buy directly on Coinbase, so it's a lot easier for people to buy. Lately, Index has been leaning hard into tokenized leverage, or the idea of like a token that represents a leverage position in ETH, or the Bitcoin ETH ratio, or in Bitcoin or Solana, or etc. Currently, annually, they're making around $2.1 million in profit. Una is another really, really tiny crypto project that I'm extremely bullish on in the crypto gaming sector. Currently, it's sitting at a tiny $6.1 million in market cap. And this project is created by a team of ex-Ubisoft developers. So they made games like Far Cry and The Division. And they left the Web 2 space to enter the Web 3 space to build games in this space. They have an AI game coming out next year. They have another game coming out next year. As well as they have an NFT collection, and this whole platform they built is really cool, really amazing. It's one of my highest conviction plays this cycle because I'm like, man, this thing's sitting at $6 million in market cap, and what are the odds of it hitting 60 million? Okay, that's like not that crazy in a bull market, or 600 million. Like those things are very easily doable in a bull market with a lot of these tokens. And I think it has a decent enough narrative that even if it didn't deliver on anything, it could hit those higher multiples of a 60 million or 600 million. Again, not investment advice, can't predict the future. That's just my personal opinion. But that's why it's a high conviction play for me. And I have an absolute ton of UNA that I'm holding, waiting for the upcoming alt season. Across is another big one that I love. It's just an absolute goated team. Like they're building something that is absolutely revolutionizing the space. Cross-chain intense, which is an amazing thing. It's I don't want to get into it because it's super nerdy, but it fixes a lot of the UX issues moving between chains and crypto. And they have just been crushing it when it comes to that. And actually, when I originally wrote this out or was getting ready to record this, I didn't know this, but they just recently launched on, I think it was Binance or Coinbase. I think it's Binance. They went live. And so they just have been doing really, really good lately. I'm still extremely bullish on Across and what they're building and what they're doing. And again, it's another high conviction play, but they are a bigger market cap than a lot of the ones that I've mentioned so far. Lastly, I've talked about it a ton, but I'm really bullish on Polygon's Pole token. And the reason I'm so bullish on Polygon's Pole token isn't because they have a good narrative. It's because of their tech. It's because of actually what they've built. They spent close to $1 billion acquiring the best ZK teams on the planet. ZK is this like revolutionary new tech within the crypto space, within the cryptography space, that even outside of cryptocurrency cryptocurrency is the dumb thing to call it, but like the crypto space is expected to revolutionize a lot of different things. ZK is zero knowledge. ZK is amazing. Okay, and so they built this entire thing called the AG layer. Easy way to think of it, it's kind of like the internet of blockchains, kind of also a dumb thing to say because like Cosmos last cycle was like, we're the internet of blockchains. Tons of projects have said that, like we're the internet of blockchains. But the AG layer actually is. This is actually an amazing, amazing piece of tech. It can connect together Solana, all the L2s, Ethereum, the Cosmos ecosystem. These guys don't even have to opt in. Like you could just like boom, 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 connect them all together and build this kind of like shared trust internet of blockchains where you're no longer worrying about like what chain you're using when you're on chain, but you're just simply using apps as if your funds are already on those chains. And it's an amazing piece of tech. You should look into it if you're like really nerdy in the crypto space and like to learn how these things work. Most people just don't understand it because like every project claims they have amazing tech. Like this project would be like, we have this really high TPS new thing. Back in 2017, it was like IOTA. They're like, we're like this new thing. We're not a blockchain. We're this thing. And we're way better than blockchains. And everyone has these crazy claims as to why like their tech is revolutionary. And for the average person, it's like really hard to differentiate like what is actually revolutionary. I put in the work. I've done a ton of podcast interviews with tons of different projects to understand these things. And I'm telling you, the AG layer is actually a revolutionary piece of tech. It actually is amazing. And I'm really bullish on what is being built. They have a release coming out this month. It might even be out by the time this video is released. It's like AG layer 1.2 or something like that version. It's going to come out with a ton of new features, allowing EVM chains to connect together. And then after that, they're going to have another deployment, I think by Q2 of 2025. This should allow for super fast finality between chains and connecting like some of these other chains like Solana, Cosmos, etc. So I'm really, really excited, especially once people can experience this thing for themselves, for them to be like, kind of have this aha moment of like, wow, this is crazy. Like in my belief, people won't worry about chains anymore. You won't like be like, I'm using Solana, I'm using Base. You'll just like go use apps and you don't really even care what chain they're on. And I think it's going to be not have these generalized chains anymore, but it's be like super specialized chains. Like this is a privacy chain. This is a super fast chain. This is a gaming chain. It'll be like that because, because generalized chains won't make sense in a universe where like moving between chains is seamless, easy, and super, super cheap. But again, Pole is like a bigger token. It's massive. It's like $7 or $8 billion in market cap. So it's not going to do like 100x, but it's certainly one of those things that you could see it like do an XRP, right? Like maybe at the high end. I have a ton more projects I'm invested into besides those. I have like over 50 projects I'm currently positioned in. I'm not going to go through all of them in this video. If you want to access the full my full portfolio, everything we invested into. You can join the Obsidian Council, and I go through every time I buy something, every time I sell something. I put in updates. So you can jump into things right when I jump in. You can sell them right when I sell them. And you can see kind of everything I'm in if you think that's interesting. If not, I also talk about a lot of those same things on my YouTube channel for free. So it just depends, like, do you want that speed of information and that like more in-depth look or not? As far as like when is a good time to jump into these, it's really hard to say because for one, I don't know when you're watching this video. You could be watching it 6 months from now and maybe it's a horrible time. Maybe the market could dump tomorrow, maybe it could not dump tomorrow. Like the short-term timing is really, really hard. And like when you're specifically watching this video is really, really hard. But as a whole, like from the moment this video came out, I think as a whole, my personal belief to be an adult, okay, own your own decisions. My personal belief is that all these things go higher from here and that we're still really, really early at this moment. It's my personal belief. Odds are some of these I'm wrong about though. That's just how it is, right? Like I'm not gonna get them all right. Some of these maybe I'm wrong about, but as a whole, I'm hoping, okay, I'm expecting that some of these are gonna really outperform, really do well, and we're really early on those things. Okay, lastly, when do I expect this bull run to end? Personally, I expect this bull run to end around late 2025, so like October, November 2025, but I'm open to quite a few different possibilities, including the possibility of like maybe, okay, there's 2 possibilities, a hard end in like May-ish of 2025. So like market ends May 2025, down only. That's a possibility. I think what's probably more likely is like May 2025 is a pretty decent dip through June. July, the market starts, like late July, market starts to pick back up. And we have like a, pretty decent end of the year rally. But some of the tokens that peaked in May 2025 will not hit new highs in the second rally. So it's going to be like a swath of tokens that do really well in May, the little May bull run. And then another swath of tokens that do really, really well in the end of the year bull run. And then after that, I think it's all over. Okay. Bear market, not all over for all time, but like we enter a pretty decent bear market because too much leverage enters the system. People get too crazy. Degens like load up on leverage and the whole system has to kind of flush that out. Big old collapse. And so we have like a really rough 2026. That's one possibility. There's other possibilities. It goes into early 2026. That's why you got to kind of watch it. You got to watch the market, okay? Like you loosely hold these ideas and you're like, okay, maybe spring it ends, maybe fall next year in 2025 it ends. Maybe it even goes into January 2026. It's never done that before, but you got to be open to new things because new things can happen from time to time. And you're kind of watching that is like you're holding those loosely and you're watching. You're watching the market. I put out a top signals video. You can go look through that video. When the top signals are hitting, that's when you know it's time to get out. And my strategy I talk about is when I think it's the top, I'll sell a third. When I think it's the top again, I'll sell my second third. When I think it's finally like, this is definitely the top, I'm selling my last third. That allows me to win, okay? Because odds are I'll probably be early, my first top. Second top, maybe I'm like, I just nail it. Third top, I'm like a little bit late, okay? That's how I'm planning to win. Also, I'll be updating on my channel. I'll be talking about when I think we're getting close to the end, when I think it's getting frothy, when I'm selling. Like I'll be sharing those things on my channel. You won't get it quite as speedily as if you're in the Obsidian Council, because I'll like the moment I'm selling, I'll be like, I am selling, and I'll post it, right? For this video to come out, I have to like film it, I have to write it out. It takes like a little bit more time for me to get it out there, so that'll come a little bit later. But either way, if you want like my thoughts on like when I think it's over, I'll be posting that on this channel at some point. And just one last time, not that I don't say it enough in every single video, but I have to do this because some people are really dumb, okay? None of this is investment advice. You always have to do your own research. I cannot predict the future, and none of these are promises, okay? I am not your Lord and Savior. I cannot tell you, I don't know what's gonna happen, okay? I can't like make these things happen. Investing involves some risk. Gotta be an adult. Accept that risk if you're wanting to get in. If you're not wanting to be an adult and accept that risk, do not jump into any of these and go back to playing Yahtzee or whatever you want to do. This conversation is for the adults in the room who can own their decisions, okay? That's not you. You need to go to a different part of YouTube. Go watch somebody like blowing up 1,000 cars, okay? Because that's for you. That's not here. We're doing like really complex financial decisions that could wreck you if you're not being responsible. Make sure to sign up for my free weekly crypto newsletter. It's mostly just all my content I put out each week in an easy email so you don't miss it. But occasionally I drop some other cool stuff in there as well, including sometimes I mention things I'm buying before I ever talk about it on my YouTube channel. Also, if you really want to dive deep, make sure to check out my weekly podcast, the 1 to 1 Million Podcast. I interview projects, talk about the markets, and interview various traders and experts in the crypto space. As always, if this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments or any projects that I should be looking at, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to be notified each time I release a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.